viewers, welcome back. Today I am so excited. I have Dave Page, the CEO of Actual Experience, and he's here to do a little quick session with me on what his advice would be to women in technology. So Dave, thanks so much for doing this. I know your schedule is crazy busy as a top power CEO. Flew all the way over from the UK just to do this, or that's the story we're telling today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you and I had a great conversation a few weeks ago about women and how do women get ahead in technology, and you shared some stuff with me. I just wanted to go back to that conversation. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So let's start with, if you could think about one gap you see women trying to climb the ladder in corporate America having today, or entrepreneurial global, what would that be?
Well, I think sort of reliving that conversation a little bit, I think it's more of an observation actually. I think we need to encourage women to take more risk. I think that really stems from a number of things, but in general, what I see as a recruiting and hiring manager is, women generally are better than they think they are, and men, I think, in general, are probably not as good as they think they are. and I think that doesn't mean they're better or worse. It just means that actually what really matters is what women promote themselves to do. And men will have a go, probably in a less qualified way. You look at CVs and you kind of, a bloke might think, well, I tick 3 of the 10 boxes.
Good enough.
That's more than good enough. And a woman might go, well, 7 or 8, maybe I'll give it a go. And actually that really matters, because that means women aren't having a go as much. And so actually as a hiring manager, you're kind of looking at sort of CVs that come in, great ones from women, great ones from men, but on a long tail of perhaps not so good. But the point is, you might pick one of those not so good ones because that's the right person. And you hire people.
You sure do.
You don't necessarily have to have the one that's sort of 10 out of 10. I've done everything before. You just have the one that's kind of inspiring. That's really important.
That is great advice for my viewers. Think about that. If you're not playing for a little bit of risk, then you're probably getting beat by someone who is.
Right.
So let's stay on that, because let's assume that somebody does lean in, to use a common term, and you hire the person who maybe has 4 out of 10, the female. Or unfortunately, what I see, they have 8 out of 10, but they still see it as a gap.
Right.
But they still see those 2. How do you encourage them to get past that lack of confidence or risk taking?
Yeah, I think there's long term and short term. So the long term, clearly, equality and working on equality in general, prejudice and prejudice in general. I think over the years these are improving, but they're a long term thing. So in the medium term, I think we've got to overcome prejudice, and it's the prejudice that I think is something in there is about the upbringing, or the way that we're bringing up girls slightly differently to boys, perhaps. That's sort of ingraining this belief that maybe they're not as good as they think they actually are. So I think in the short term, we've just got to be very encouraging and supportive. We've got to find the right candidate, convince her that she is fit for the job, despite the fact she may be a bit reticent about it. Whereas a guy might go, I'll give that a go.
I love that.
I think we've just got to be supportive in the short term before the rest of the world catches up with equality and prejudice.
So you have a little unique perspective because you were raised differently than other people were. So I want to drill down on that topic. So you were talking about unconscious bias. So you happen to have a bias towards females as leaders, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was brought up by mum, so dad wasn't around. So mum did the really tough thing of bringing up me, and I was trouble, and my sister, who was less trouble.
All the good ones.
But she did it somehow, and she got me set up. I left school when I was 15, so I know school and me didn't work, but somehow my mum sort of helped me get a job. So she was amazing, and at the same time, I'm a Brit. I was living in London. Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister, so as far as I was concerned, women actually literally did rule at that point. So it was only when I then got to work and I thought, where's all the women? Hang on a sec, where are they? And I think at that point I didn't think it was my problem.
Right.
Now I think it's my problem, and that's why I'm involved. And at the time I thought, well, there's other people sorting out equality and prejudice issues. But as you start to found your own business and start to form your own business, you kind of think that actually it is my problem now. This is, I want a business which is genuinely representative of the people that we sell to and deal with, and the only way of doing that is having a proper mix across all the skill sets inside the organisation. And I know not only is it more representative, but I get better teams when I do that. So this comes back to, there are long paths with equality and prejudice. The world seems to be working on those. I think in the medium term, I can't wait as an entrepreneur for that. So the only way is to pick the right person and then encourage as much as we possibly can for them to believe that in fact they are more than capable of doing the job.
And I love that point. And for those of my subscribed watchers on YouTube and those that haven't, make sure you subscribe. This is a really great theme to think about in your career plan and in your purpose-driven career plan specifically. Are you giving yourself enough of a break? Are you understanding that most of the people that are leaders don't have a perfect background, right? I don't have an elite degree. I don't believe you have an elite degree, yet both of us have been what I would define as relatively successful. Still want to do more. I'm sure you do too. But more importantly, that you don't have to wait for someone else to solve the problem.
Right.
That all of us can solve the problem together. So now we come to the part of the video, which is, I like to call it the fast 60 seconds. So we like to get to know people at the end of the video. So if you had to tell women where in technology they should focus their careers today, any ideas, any hot growth areas?
Software development.
Very
Without
nice.
a doubt.
Software development, I like that answer, okay. And do you think people need global experience?
No. It's really interesting. We're building a team in the UK, in Bath, which is over at the west of England near Bristol. So it's not London. In London there's a ferocious market for software developers. And we've chosen to sort of sit about 120 miles outside of London.
Interesting.
And actually the real reason is because you want software developers to stay. And there's a massive churn in London. People tend to stay. People who want to be there tend to stay. So that's working really well. But up until probably 8 months ago, it was all men.
Oh, we see that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've just recently got 2 female software developers. They're marvelous. They're doing great jobs. They're both from Romania. So it made me ask,
What's going on there?
Come on, this is 100% now of women in my business and software development are from Romania. 2 data points, but and actually what they both said was, well, in Romania it's like normal. Half of software developers are women. So it kind of makes me reflect on the US and on the UK in terms of why we fall so far short of that, because it's down at about 10%.
And it's interesting because I think from a software development standpoint, I think this is interesting. Diane von Furstenberg is one of the women that I admire, and she's taking coding classes. So if she can do it as one of the most fantastic designers of all times, you can do it too. And there's a lot of firms, there's a firm in Texas as an example, in 6 weeks they'll retrain you to be able to write a mobile app. So if you hear software developer and think that can't be me, you couldn't be more wrong.
Far from it, no.
Right, you can make that transition tomorrow. So, all right, the closing 2 questions. Question number 1, favorite city in the world?
New York at the moment. It changes, but at the moment it's New York.
That's okay, mine at the moment is Prague. And then finally, how do people get in touch with you?
LinkedIn is easy.
LinkedIn is easy.
Yeah.
So Dave Page from Actual Experience. And Dave, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support of women, and we'll talk again soon.